Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. This is everything in bud, bloom and spike on the 8th. A regular once a month feature aimed at always being on the 8th. Not always successful, but this time we've made it because it's on a Monday. Depends on the day of the week it falls rather than the date. I did say this was going to be the Phalaenopsis roadshow, and that's basically how it is at the moment due to a recent influx of purchased Phalaenopsis. But in amongst them are ones that have been around a while that have also come into bloom. Mojo having a wander around outside now that it's stopped raining. Right, so Phalaenopsis first. Now this little group on the end here are Hannahs. The mini Phalaenopsis are Hannah's, so these four are hers. This is the only species in the system, which is Equestris, and it's a pyloric version, so that's at least got a name. Most of the others haven't. This one here with the patterned leaves has got a nice spike progressing, and which one is it? That little one in the corner, you can just about see the spike under the leaf on the left, so that's also got a spike. So out of the four mini phals that are Hannah's, three are spiking, one of which has started to bloom. And then we come on to the my purchased mini phals. This is a recent idea. The original four that were purchased are out here in the kitchen. These have now all got a letter, so they all have a tag with a letter on them so that I can keep tabs, pun intended, I can keep tabs on them in my notes. As it was a new system, I started at A, so these four mini phals are A, B, C and D. And then the four mini phals that are out in the grow room are E, F, G and H basically. And that's how they'll be identified. But at the moment it's just a matter of looking at the blooms. And as it's a dull day today, I'm hoping that the camera is going to get these colours a lot better than it did last time. The brighter the light outside, the worse it looks from the inside. But this white one I like a lot, and I like it because I like the colour inside the lip and the fact that the colour runs round to the back of the lip in places, and the tiny little spots, the little patterning behind the lip. Yeah, so I like that one a lot. And when I was opening the packets, as soon as I saw the yellow one, I thought, oh, stunning. And it is just that. It's a lovely bright sort of daffodil yellow. Again, if you look carefully, you can see the little spotted pattern in exactly the same as the spots on the white one. Yeah, they come through from a couple of species that get incorporated into the hybrids, and that pattern just seems to win through no matter what. You can just see the little spots either side of the lip, and a lovely coloured lip. Any other colour on a yellow Phalaenopsis, apart from white perhaps, would look odd to me anyway. So that's those two, and then I'm going to have to let go of the camera's strap so that I can hold this up in the air to get up to this one. Now this is the one that came from our 70th anniversary show, 50th anniversary show, whichever one it was, earlier in the year, March time. And this was part of a deal that we had, you know, to bring in new members, and this was my version. And again, I like yellow Phalaenopsis providing they have to me a sensibly matched colour in the lip. I really don't like yellow Phalaenopsis with, say, a red lip or something like that. It just doesn't seem to go together. And this one, basically the original spike, one spike was cut off, then another spike was allowed to extend, which is what this is. This is the extension, and it's got a good number of blooms, and also it branched. and produced this, which is also going to have another set of blooms. So this particular one is doing very well. The plant itself is not actually growing much. It's got reasonable roots to support those blooms, so that's okay. Then we come on to the other two of the mini phals, recent purchase, and this particular one has got a very nice pattern and very nice coloration, and as a mini phal it works really well. Some of the blooms aren't up the right way. That was probably a lighting issue or whatever, but virtually all the buds are open now. I think that applies to the others as well. These two definitely all the buds are open, and I think we've still got a few buds to go on this white one. Again, this white one looks very nice. It hasn't got the spots on the lip that the others have got, but it does have a tiny bit of coloration inside the lip, a little bit of yellow and some pink spots. All of the plants are healthy. They've all got reasonable root systems. They will all be repotted in the relatively near future. But having repotted one of them and found out that yes, it's got a plug in it, but it's not killing the root system like some of them do. So I'm not in a rush. They will all get repotted. I'll probably just wait for the flowers to finish. And then the repot can hopefully generate new growth as far as leaves and roots are concerned. And then the last one out here is one of mine, and this is a spike that was cut off. You can see the spike was actually chopped to see if it would branch, and it has. So we've got a new branch and it's got a lot of buds on it. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, possibly as many as a dozen new blooms by cutting the spike, and they are very, very attractive. I do believe they are a deeper colour this time round, so that's good stuff. Right, so that's everything in the kitchen. Somebody suggested that I double tier this and actually build a shelf, which would be very easy to do. 2 uprights either side and a shelf across the top. Problem with that is it would cut quite a lot of light out of the kitchen, natural light. But then if you take a whole year in a kitchen, I do most of my cooking, you know, well, in fact I do, apart from my eggs for breakfast, but probably for at least a third of the year, when I'm doing my majority of cooking, my evening meal, it's dark. So the amount of natural light's irrelevant. You don't live in your kitchen, do you? So that if it cut down the natural light, it wouldn't be a big deal. My worry is the height of spikes. Yeah? If you think about it, if I had a shelf in here, that one wouldn't be able to be in here. Yeah? It would have to go somewhere else, and there isn't really a somewhere else, certainly in the winter time. And then these spikes, if you look at their height and then put them on top of a shelf, the blooms would be right up there, literally right at the top of the kitchen window. So I'm not sure it would work. It would limit blooms, not plants. Could easily accommodate the plants on a second shelf, but not blooms. But then you could say the chances of them all being in bloom together again are very, very slim. So it's a thought that may or may not take place. I'm still thinking on it, let's put it that way. And anyway, that's the kitchen done. Now we'll head off into the grow room. Right, we'll do as we normally do, stick to routines and start over on the left and work our way round to the right hand corner, picking on everything in bud, spike or bloom as we go. The number of buds is very limited out here, but there are still a few to come. First of all, we've got my Dendrobium hercoglossum, still one of my favourite dendrobiums. they're just such delicate flowers. I just really like them. You've got gentle patterning on the petals and sepals in the form of slightly darker stripes. You've got that lovely dark centre to the lip and the pink tip to the lip. They're just nice delicate flowers. The downside with them is they hang down. They always hang downwards. You can see they all are hanging downwards. So this plant is best viewed from below. I'm not getting down on my knees. I can get down there okay, but I might not get up again. And then up there is the remnants of the blooms on this Dendrobium hybrid. It's a black hair type, and these are the last remaining blooms now, and they are going over. The blooms on the other cane have already gone, and this is what's left. And you can see they start to get brown tips to the sepals, and then gradually they become more almost see-through, paper-like, almost like tissue paper as they fade. But they've been out a nice long time, they've looked good, and that was a massive cluster of blooms on that cane, some of which have already come off. So that's sort of coming to a close now after a very long time. And then over here we've got my Victoria Regina. I think I remember doing that last time. When I take the camera off my hand, as I do it, it's very easy to press the record button, which effectively, if I was recording, turns it off. And then you get to the putting the clips onto the computer and find that half of your stuff's missing. Anyway, it's back on now so that I can lean over and hopefully be able to show you the Victoria Regina. I'm not, these buds got damaged. They got held up in a cluster behind that clip. The clip's now been moved, but it means that they've opened a little distorted. I think only one of them's opened clean and the others haven't, because they were held in place by the clip. So not so good this time round. Right, come back over here. Holding it up like that really, it's quite a heavy camera, quite honestly. You'd be surprised. Right, so we're back on doing things normally. This is my epidendrum. It's still pushing out buds, I believe. Yes, we've still got unopened buds, so as the lower blooms are, they die up the stem slowly but surely, and then more open. So, you know, this spike was originally down here when the blooms first open, and then the blooms get farther and farther away from the plant. But you can see there are still buds in the centre there. So there's still more blooms to come. Now I've set it wobbling, I probably won't be able to focus. But these are very attractive in as much as it's a bright, vibrant orange, heading towards yellow in the centre of the lip, which is upside down. This is nicknamed by some the crucifix orchid because of the shape of the lip, the sort of cross thing. Yeah, there's all sorts of things you could say that lip looks like apart from that, but a beautiful colour nonetheless. Now, out of all of these plants over here, nothing is in bud, nothing at all. Same up here, apart from a few we've looked at. Same down here, yeah, same down here, all down here. There's nothing in bud, no sign of any new spikes or anything. But the last one over here is this, and this is almost identical to one of the ones in the kitchen. This is endearingly known as Mini Fowl E. So as I said, they've all got a letter, so that I can identify which ones have or haven't been repotted, and in future, you know, which ones come back into spike and things like that, so that I've got an identity for them, even if it's not a proper name. So that's that one. And then coming over here, we've got a large spike over here on one of mine, which is a right tatty looking plant. It's only got a couple of leaves. It's got some reasonable roots, but it's now got a spike. And looking at that spike, I don't think it's going to have many buds, but we shall see. I mean, it's actually grown quite vigorously recently, you know, since I first spotted it. So there's that one, and then the other two that are in bloom here, we've got this one, which is the nice orangey autumny colours, and again a different colour on the lip to this could actually have put me right off, but it's the fact that the colours on the lip reflect the colours in the main structure of the bloom. So, you know, you've still got a reflection of the colours, and I'm hoping because of the light level today that this looks much better on film than it did last time, because it didn't really show the colours very well last time we filmed this. But again, if it was a month ago, you can see how long how long it's been around. But all the buds are open on this now, apart from this little branch, which looks like it's going to have an extension. That may well not extend until these blooms drop. That's often the way with the branches. Has this one got? Yeah, this one's got a couple of buds as well. So the branches look like they might extend, which is good. As you see, this branch here hasn't even opened yet. So not a bad plant. It's looking good, and I'm pleased I bought it basically. Then another one of the mini phals. The mini phals out here were bought at the discounted price of 4 for £20 with free postage, and out of the three choices, which is Lucky Dip, whites and pinks and purples, I chose the pinks and purples, which actually means I've got two pairs of almost identical Phalaenopsis, one of which, well, one pair is also incredibly similar, if not identical, to one of the ones in the kitchen. So it means I've got multiple plants the same. So be it. There's still a nice splash of colour, which was the reason for getting them. As well as having a few more Phalaenopsis around to talk about and make videos about, because they're popular. So, you know, there's a sort of kill two birds with one stone there. Right, coming over here, the Brassica has finished. I just haven't got round to taking the spike off and moving the plant. The plant will now go in a different place because it's finished blooming. I need to get some water on my, what's it as well? Sarracenia or Sarracenia or something like that. Anyway, my little carnivore plant that I brought in from outside because the wind keeps blowing it over and it keeps drying out. Whereas in here, it's less likely to get forgotten and it's not drying out. I had to cut loads of it off, but since then it's started to grow many, many more pitchers, or whatever you call them. Here comes trouble. Come on then. You didn't really want to go out at all, did you? Nuisance. He's been fussing like that most of the morning. Right, the Prosthetia type thing. There'll be pop-ups of names where I've got names. I'm not going to bother with the Phalaenopsis. But this has still got one spike that still has blooms on. As you can see, the others are finishing. Yeah, so we've got a little spike down there that's still going. And we've got this one here. And again, this is one of those that warrants closer inspection. Very, very attractive markings on these blooms. Just trying to get in as close as I dare. Handheld, which makes life a bit difficult. But yeah, very spaced out flowers on the spikes, but they can have quite large spikes. There's that one. And then there's the tatty looking cherry baby, because some of the older leaves are starting to go now. We've got lots of new growth coming, but there's two spikes on this. One here heading up towards the roof and another one over here. So we've got spikes on the cherry baby. There are nubbins on some of the nobly types up the back there, but I don't believe they are going to be buds. I believe they're going to be kikis again. So the likes of there and over there, and there's some on that cane there as well. I think they're all going to be kikis. Nobleys can have a second flush. They're normally sort of late winter, early spring. But they can have a second flush later in the year. That does happen. Nothing much else over here. Nothing here. I'm going to have a think about, I'll have to have a look on other people's videos and things, because it's a hybrid. It'll be difficult to find out when hibiki tends to bloom, because this thing should put some blooms out at some point, but most of the places you read or see other people's videos and things, it actually says that it blooms on the older canes when the leaves start to drop, or after the leaves have dropped. And at the moment I haven't got many canes like that at all. They're all growing leaved canes with growing tips, so I don't think that's going to bloom anytime soon. Then we have the Oncidium Cheyenne, or Cheyenne, however it's said anyway, depends on probably what country actually named it. This is the one with the broken spike. The buds nonetheless are still pushing on, and you can see the colour now, and you can see that this is going to be a good colour red when it eventually comes out. The blooms on the my only Phalaenopsis type Dendrobium have gone now, so that spike will get cut off next time I come round here in maintenance mode. And then up here we've got the Shelob Marie, and blooms are starting to open on some of the other spikes now. We've got these over here, and it's strange, two of the blooms on that spike have got this deformity where the top petal, what should be upright like that, is actually slightly fused. And not only have two of them done it, they've done it identically, so that's weird. The blooms coming out on the other spike also have a similar problem on this bloom. You can see from the back, yeah, the top three are fused, but this bloom over here is perfect. So some strange things going on with that one. Next to it is my Prosthetia radiata, which has, I think there's two spikes on here. Yes, there's one here, and then another one here. So that's going to be in bloom, highly fragrant, one of the most fragrant orchids, that particular one, radiata, can fill a room quite easily. And we've got no buds on Coelogenes or any of my odont types at the moment. This is one of the other mini phals, part of the pinks and purples. I believe it's the same as the one over there next to the orange. Colour clash, pinks and orange. And then onto here is the other one that is a pair, I believe, goes with that one on the table, the purple one down there. So effectively we only had two different types, I think. No Masdevallias with buds or spikes coming on at the moment, but plenty of new growths. The Dracuvalia has still got its bloom, it's still hanging in there. It's easier to pick the pot up than trying to lower the camera. So nice attractive bloom on there, Dracuvalia. So it's effectively an intergeneric. You tend to think of the word intergeneric associated with the Oncidium alliance, but yes, there are others where crosses can be successfully made. So there we go. That is everything in bud and bloom for the month of July, and we will repeat the exercise in August. I suspect most of the things that you've just seen with spikes on will be in bloom, I suspect, by then, and a fair bit of what is in bloom now won't be. So there won't be a massive influx of new blooms for August, that's for sure. So and at some point I'm going to have to closely inspect the Cymbidiums, because there are a couple that are early bloomers. In other words, they may well come into bloom this year, and not have to wait until, you know, Christmas or later into next year for the blooms to come, which could mean that there might be some spikes lurking out there that I haven't noticed, because, you know, the only time I ever look at them really is when I water them, and that's obviously not every day. They're not getting watered at all at the moment. The weather is doing it for me. It's a tendency to forget that when you get rainy periods and you've got the likes of the Cymbidiums outside, you sort of think, oh, they don't need watering. Yeah, well, remember, they're not getting any feed. They're only getting rainwater. So there can be an air of neglect on the feeding front if you're not careful. So what to do? Well, to feed them, you need to water them, and they're already wet from the rain. So it's a conundrum. Yeah, an open question. So what do we do about that then? Slow release pellets so that the rain actually waters them in, but then I would want to take those off to start feeding with well balanced, measured orchid fertilizer, and I wouldn't want to do that with the pellets still there, so you'd have to take them off again. I don't fancy doing that. Yes, bit of a conundrum. So, and that's highly likely to happen in our English climate. You're going to get not a rainy day, but a rainy period that could go on for a week or two, you know. But a week or two without getting their proper feed, don't forget they've got inbuilt resources. They've all got pseudobulbs, yeah? And they can still photosynthesize, so they're not totally without any food at all. But obviously you don't want to drain their resources to any extent, because that could reduce the number of spikes or the number of buds on a spike potentially. So there we go, that's that one done. This is going to get posted late on Monday, because it's going to ride over into Tuesday, which has now become my day off. There's a new video on the Gardening and Bonsai channel, just a quick one. I think it's less than 3 minutes long, which is basically a new visitor to the garden that I managed to film yesterday. So you can pop across and have a look at that one if you fancy it. And don't forget, if you're over there and you're not subscribed, it would be nice if you did so. Same again on this channel. If you're not subscribed, it would be nice if you did so. And don't forget the old thumbs up. You know, it does help the channel in YouTube's eyes. It doesn't make any difference to my viewers or me, but YouTube sees those thumbs up and comments and views, you know, in a way that may allow a better promotion of the channel from YouTube. So it's always worth doing. And yes, I was going to say let's end on a bit of colour, and I'm going to end on the brightest colour in the grow room. Well, I didn't say it was an orchid, did I? Somebody said, are your geraniums going out in the garden, which is where they were bought for last year? They can't, because they've grown so big now with these big blousy flower heads. The slightest breeze and they would be over. They haven't got the weight in the pot, so they can't go outside now. They'll have to provide the splash of colour in here. There are two different ones here. They're not the same. If you look at, if I get two in the shot, you can see this one is a much deeper red than that one. Two lovely bright colours though, which is why I got them in the first place last year. So maybe we take some cuttings off of them later in the year and get them rooted up before we go into winter, and then I'd have some new plants that could perhaps go in a tub next year so that they don't blow over, because these plastic flower pots, they won't stay upright. These would have to be potted up in something far more substantial to be able to go outside. Ugh. Come on then. Chatterbox. Right, see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.